I have learned things about the law in my last 12 years, and I'll tell you one thing I know for a fact as truth. You will reap what you sow. If you bring the fuck you angry attitude to these cops, these guys with guns, these judges, that's exactly what you are going to get in return. All the time. If you want love, you want dignity, you want respect, you wanted to be treated with that, you need to give it first, even if they come and try to push your buttons first. Dean's a young man, and I appreciate his energy, but anger, that's the luxury of youth. It is really born of ego, and it will deny you many things. It will deny you an opportunity to make friends with people. It will deny you the ability to seize the moral high ground. I'll give you an example. One of the things I'm working on is the belief that we as Canadians have the right to inject money into the system to pay for consumer purchases. You can find it in Part 5 of the Bills of Exchange Act. Now, Dean, love him to bits. The anger he brings is not going to benefit the free man movement. We need to demonstrate that we have the ethical, the moral high ground. From that perspective, you can get these cops on board. From this perspective, we can gain the trust and the fellowship of the Canadian people. Nobody is going to jump aboard the angry train. Dean had a little interaction in a parking lot, a private parking lot. It was a spin out, and it resulted in him in jail for, 26 days?
Give or take.
When you went and talked to the cop, did you have any fuck you attitude?
Oh, actually, I always start nice and peacefully. Mm-hmm. It escalates as they escalate.
That's what I found as well.
I match.
What I did, I went, now bear in mind, this was a simple little, it was a slippery parking lot. He spun out, it ended up 26 days in jail. I went to Cactus Club Cafe, had a very nice meal with my sweetie at the time. We won't go into it. And when the bill came, I marked consumer purchase, I signed it, I gave it back. I had previously written them, told them that I was intending to do this. I had $100 in an escrow account so that I wasn't trying to defraud anyone if the note didn't work. And then I said, well, if you're not going to accept it, call the cops. The cops came. Now, these 3 RCMP officers were firmly convinced that I had purposely and willfully acted contravening the Criminal Code of Canada. They came up and they tried to push my buttons. You do this, you do that. And you know what they hate more than anger? Because anger they're used to. What they don't know how to deal with is amusement. They don't know how to deal with that. I just stood there and I was amused at their act, and I said, listen, when you're ready to communicate with me with respect and dignity, I'm ready to do the same. Let me know when we can start doing that. They stopped. From there, it ended up being a 20-minute discussion. They ended up charging me under Section 364 of the Criminal Code, which was exactly what I wanted. There was no arrest. We left with handshakes. I end up going to court. After that, the next day, I wrote a letter to the Attorney General pointing out that they were trying to use the Criminal Code in order to punish me for exercising rights which are clearly found in another act. I get this letter from the Crown Prosecutor. Our office has received a police report alleging that you have committed the above noted offense. We have reviewed the report circumstances and have decided not to proceed with criminal charges in a prosecution of this matter. In view of this ministry's responsibility to the public, you must understand that if further reports are received alleging other offenses, this letter will be considered in determining whether we proceed with a prosecution. That's how you do it, folks. You bring the love to them. You seize the moral high ground, even if they try to push you. Let them push you. Just respond again and again with the dignity, with the respect. And I know it's difficult. I know how difficult it is. But if we want to seize the moral high ground, if we want to win, that's the only way to do it. I have found no other reason. And it's not just because I'm lovey-dovey. From a strategic perspective, it makes the most sense. It's what will succeed. Plus, I suffer from a disease. It's apparently spread from my ass to my bones. It's called lazy. It's a lot easier to do than spending 26 days in jail, especially if it's unnecessary. And he did mention they will test you. They will. They will test you over and over and over. It's best to pass right off the bat. That's what I found. So, folks, I'll let am I bringing Dean up, or am I bringing you back up?
I'll just finish it, and then that's good.
I don't possess that level of thoughtfulness, by the way. See, everybody's different. I never think about other people like that. That's great. Thank you. Thanks for my mind. so many people to make up a whole. Because people like me just don't have certain ways of thinking about things that other people do make up that deficiency.
And I am very deficient in a lot of places, believe me.
Yeah, everybody has to pick their own path in this as well. So some people are going to be peaceful and some people are going to be standoffish. I'm standoffish. That's the great part about freedom and self-determining and your right to live your life the way you see fit. Me, I like to take things a little more seriously because I take my rights very seriously. When somebody trespasses on me or my person in a way that I don't want them to, by definition, that's what's leave. And I react that the same way anybody would react to any other type of rape. And I figure if that line is drawn, they're less likely to cross it if they know that things are going to get real fast. And that's short term. We got to remember these people are going to want to cling to what authority they believe they still have. Short term, they're not going to like the fact that we're all waking up, and they're going to be willing to commit some rather heinous crimes against people to try to bully the rest of the herd back into shape. And this is, I think I mentioned this morning, this is a great place where we can always flip their statutes upside down and start thinking, and your brain starts to get rewired. You start being able to counter people right away. And this all stems from a nothing incident between the traffic cops and Brandon, where they initiated the incident. Again, I was actually being quite nice. I was on the way home. I just recovered from a job site accident. I had a dislocated hip that they had put back in place. I was on crutches. This guy pulled me over 2 in the morning, and he wants to take my truck. I had insurance and I had a license at the time. I hadn't given those up yet. So I was going back 9 years, 4 years to get to court. And they did they said, well, we're taking your truck no matter what. And I said, well, no, you're not taking my truck anywhere. It's my property. My property goes when, where, and how I say it goes. Unless you have a claim, even then you can't deprive me of my property without due process of law. It's in your own, that's in your own law books. He says, well, you see this? That's the badge. He says, that means I can do whatever the fuck I want. And that was Constable Gregory Anderson, the Brandon Police Service. Constable Gregory Anderson. So they decided they should have 4 more cruisers show up, and they would drag me out of my truck and beat the living shit out of me and throw me in Brandon Correctional tonight. Me? Well, it doesn't matter. That if you try to block your face so they can't kick your face anymore, that's obstruction of a peace officer because you're obstructing his boot from connecting with the intended target, which is the face. Right? So that's obstruction. And technically, they're correct. I obstructed his boot from hitting my face. Factually, I am guilty of obstructing a peace officer who is trying to peacefully beat my face with his boot.
What were they saying you did in the first place to pull you over?
Nothing. I was actually driving through Brandon at 2:30 in the morning, minding my own business, not speeding, and it was Christmas Eve, and they were bored. They don't care. Be as nice as you want. If they are in the mood for a fight, you're going to jail. Doesn't matter how nice you are. So, I'd like to give you guys an update, too, after the Gimli incident. I ran into one of the cops that was involved in that incident about a month later at the Viking Hotel there. I went with my roommate there for a beer, and one of the cops that was involved that night showed up there to do his rounds at the end of the night. And being my peaceful self, I decided I was going to go up and have a little word with him about our attitude that night. And I walked up to him, and I'm not going to lie, I told him how things were going to go down. I said, we're going to wind up in the parking lot, and I'm going to kick the shit out of you for what you did. I'll go to jail again, that's fine, but you're going to answer for what you did. And I walked up to him, and I was just ready to go, and I'm yelling at him. And I walk up, and he's like, you're going like this. And I said, you're that piece of shit you talked down to me in jail that night, aren't you? He's like, what? I said, I'm Dean Cliff. You're Dean? He said, yeah. He goes, I'm so sorry for what happened. I was completely out of line. Please accept my apologies. That'll never happen again. And right away, I just went, So Bob is completely correct. He diffused me by apologizing because he knew he was wrong. And yeah, I do go looking for it at times. And that's a failing I have because I just, years of problems with these guys. It led me to be very confrontational with them. That's my path. Don't everybody do that at all. But so you better believe, and as soon as he apologized, I just said, okay. I said, thanks, buddy.
So folks, all I'm saying is that I think you will find more power by rejecting the anger and recognizing that there is no us and them. It's all just us. That this them part is all imaginary, and that's what the people who are trying to divide us use. And I guarantee you, you treat these people, it might be tough a few times, treat them with respect and dignity, and that's what you get back almost every time.